2019 has come and gone, and in terms of video games, there were a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and some in-betweens. A lot of good games, a lot of bad games, and a lot of just okay games in general. Hello everyone, Kingdom Kid here with my favorite top 10 games of 2019. Now, this is not new for me. I have done this many times in the past, but here is a reminder for some of the rules that I have implemented into my series here. Rule number 1, obviously the game had to have come out in the year of 2019. So that means from January 1st to December 31st of 2019. Second rule, I had to have completed it in 2019. Granted, I did give myself a little of extra time. I gave myself 2 extra weeks to complete some games. So the first 2 weeks of January were also in the running for this, since I was away for a while in terms of me moving and a holiday that I took in December. So I gave myself a little extra time there. The third one is no HD remakes can be on here, no HD remasters. So unfortunately for games like Ni no Kuni and The Wrath of the White Witch, the remaster version, or Resident Evil 2 remake, games like those will not be on this list. These all have to be completely new games that came out in 2019. And of course, just a reminder, this whole entire list is my personal opinion. It's my opinion alone. You can agree with some of it, then that's totally fine. But don't be like, this is not the end-all be-all list of top 10 games of 2019. This is, again, just my list of the games. So if you're upset about it, hey, that's fine, but don't threaten me with anything, because like I said, it's my list and my list only. You can agree with some of it and disagree with others. That's great. That's the whole fun of these lists, is to make engagement and be like, well, why do you agree that this is game's on the list, or why do you agree that this game's not on the list and such. It's great like that. So without further ado, here is my top 10 games of 2019. Number 10, Code Vein. Now, I actually did enjoy Code Vein. Code Vein is what everyone is calling the anime Dark Souls, and to an extent it is. It is much like that in terms of gameplay, where you build your own character, and the battles are similar to Dark Souls, except the one difference is you could have a party member with you if you really wanted to. So there's instances where you could have 3 people with you because you invited someone from online to help join you, and you have one of the NPCs. Now, as you game through this game, you pick up vestiges and other things in order to get new blood codes, which is basically builds. So as you get those builds, you also unlock new abilities. Now, in order for you to use those abilities with other blood codes, you need to first purchase them with Haze, which is pretty much the souls of this game, and buy them. And then, of course, you need to master those skills, which is basically just have them equipped and keep defeating enemies until you get them leveled up. The story for this game is a little meh to me. You gotta find out what's causing all this. Why is this whole thing going on? Oh yeah, you're also a vampire, by the way. You're straight up a vampire. So you have to find blood beads in order to survive, and quill yourself from the thirst so you don't get frenzy, which is also crazy, and join the Lost, which is the main enemies of the game. This game is pretty good. It's fun for the most part, but there is, as you progress further in the story, you learn that, like, oh, I have to beat these bosses, and the endings for this game is kind of confusing. So you might accidentally get the good end. There's actually 4 endings to this, and you can actually get, and you can only get them through the span of all 3 playthroughs. But how you have to get the true best ending is you have to get every single vestige, talk to the people that are before the boss, and make sure that you save the boss without going to spoilers. It's really hard, but I accidentally did not do that, so I actually got the medium ending for this game. But the endings of this game are pretty decent. But hey, the good news is when you do New Game Plus, you can choose either, hey, go through it again, or you can go through it again with an up difficulty. So you can just go through it again to make it easier for yourself if you just want to get the endings. There is a boss there are bosses close to the end of this game that is a straight up homage to Ornstein and Smog from Dark Souls, and it is done very poorly in this, in terms of like, wow, they are just it's just done poorly. Now, like I said, the game is fun and could be a bit of a challenging if you don't know how to do it, but if you have played any good Dark Souls games, you will know how to play this game. And I like this game, and that's why it's number 10 of my top 10 games of 2019. Number 9, Zanki Zero Final Beginning. This visual novel game was pretty fun, and I enjoyed it for the time, and I still enjoy it. I'll go back to it to platinum at some point. It's made by the same people that made Danganronpa, and if seeing Monokuma isn't much of an homage to it, then you know why. It's a strange post-apocalyptic world where you are the last humans in the planet. Apparently. So you go through different locations that have to do with your past, and you learn that you are tied to one of the 7 deadly sins. And it's a very good setup. I actually do like it. It's roguelike in that, and survival in a way, because you have to feed your characters. You have to make sure they get some rest. You gotta make sure that, they go to the bathroom, give them food, make sure they drink, all this stuff. It's a very fun, intuitive game, and I honestly like it. The story is definitely good too, and I like the voice acting for this game. It's fun. And as you keep getting further into the game, you'll learn like, hey, there's some secret scenes that you can meet, but they have to meet specific criteria. So one of the main features of this game is, hey, your character can die, but they come back. But when they come back as a child. And then, after a few days, they become back into the adult. Then a few days later, they become a middle-aged, and a few days later they become an old person, and then after a while they die. So they can die, but you can extend them back by spending points. And how you get points is by defeating enemies, picking up items. It's all fun. I honestly do like this game. The gameplay is pretty fun. Like I said, it's a very new type of game that I've never played a game like this before, and I enjoyed it a lot. There is a demo for this game if you guys are kind of on the fence of it, and I'd say give it a shot if you are a fan of Danganronpa. And yeah, it's definitely fun. And as soon as you learn, like, oh, this is how you play the game, you'll know how to play the game. The boss fights are pretty fun too, in terms of like how you dodge their attacks, how you attack them. Some of these boss fights I did get a bit mad at, but yeah. And and you can upgrade your facilities. You can upgrade your home base, upgrade your beds, upgrade your way that you can make weapons so you can get more weapons, upgrade your sleeping arrangements, which is, I guess I already said that, upgrade a kitchen so you can make better food items, and yeah, just upgrade a lot of facilities so it makes it a lot easier and better. And that's why I'm like I said, I really did like this game, and that's why it's number 8 of my top 10 games of 2019. Number 8, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I really did like this game a lot. It's compared to Dark Souls in a way, and I can kind of see it in terms of how you heal and sometimes of how you get your lost experience back. And some of the gameplay is a little bit Dark Souls as well. But what really pulled me into this was the exploration and even the story of this game a bit. You are a Jedi who lost his master during Order 66, which if you guys don't know what that is, Order 66 is basically given to the troops by the Sith to execute every single Jedi. But you were able to escape, and you found refuge on a planet with a ship, with a dismemberment crew that dismembers old ships and everything, and you got to be, had to be free and in hiding still. But after you saved your friend by using your force powers, your secret kind of gets a little blown, and now you are on the run again. But then you learned that, wait, you could find people who are force sensitive, people who can become Jedi, and to rise up and rebel against them. This game takes place between episodes 3 and 4 of the Star Wars movie series, but I really did like the game. And of course, BD8, BD1 is so adorable, and it's just he really makes this game a lot of fun, because just the interaction that you and Cal has with him is just so adorable. And like I said, the story of this is fun. When you're fighting the Inquisitors is tough. I will say there is no difficulty based on this game, so if you just want to do the story, hey, the lowest difficulty or the one above is great. I played it on the second highest difficulty, and yeah, I had trouble, but I still enjoyed this game a lot. And of course, when you get to the end, the way they end this game is fantastic as well. No spoilers, of course, but Oh, it's just something that you hope to see happen, and it does happen, and it makes this game so sweet. How you level up your abilities is, like I said, you gain experience per kill and finding new things, using your force powers to listen to an echo. Like I said, just keep fighting. Doing everything will bring you experience, and you get more skill points, and then you can spend those skill points on skills in the tree when you rest at your meditation station, as I call them, which I think is pretty cool. I did have some goofy moments in this game that were like, I just got launched like 50,000 feet in the air one time, and I just landed somewhere where I got stuck and had to exit out of the game in order to finally continue on. But still, even with little stuff like that, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. And like I said, the gameplay and the story, it makes you feel like you're a Jedi, which is what a Star Wars game should make you feel if you're playing as a Jedi. You finally get to control a lightsaber. You get lightsabers. It's fun. You get to customize your lightsaber too. You can at one point you can change the color of it. You start off with the only 3 basic colors, or I think you get 2 if you didn't pre-order the game, but you get, blue and green, your basic colors, but then eventually you're able to pick through a whole array of different colors like purple, gold, yellow, a slightly lighter blue. It's so fun. The customizing of your lightsabers is pretty fun too, and I really did enjoy this game a lot, and it's definitely up there in this list of games of 2019. I thoroughly enjoy this game a lot, and I'd say pick it up if you're a Star Wars fan. I'm pretty sure you will love this game, like I said. And you get to deflect, blocking, parrying, and just watching stormtroopers shooting their blasters at you, and you just parry their shots back at them, and just hearing the dialogue that the Star Troopers say as well. It's so charming, and I love this game a lot, and I hope you guys do too, because this game is fun, and that's why it's at number 8 of my games of the year. Number 7, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I really did love Pokemon this year. It was fun, even with the whole Dexit debacle, and I honestly think people really blew that out of proportion. I really did enjoy this game a lot. Now, granted, I think it does look like it was a 3DS game at first, but then they just upped it up to be on the Switch. I really believe this game should have had a little more time in the oven than it did, but that's not Game Freak's fault. It's the whole Pokemon company as general. It's like, no, we have to release this because the new series based on the game is coming out, so we need to have the game out with the series and everything else. But enough about that. I did enjoy this game a lot. The story of it, it's lackluster. It's a Pokemon game, You go through the gym, you do the elite, you go through the championship, and while going through the story, you take down an evil organization. But how they did the Pokemon League in this game was different, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not a whole like, oh, you can just go do it if you want to. No, apparently you need to be endorsed by someone of a high power, like a gym leader, the champion, or the chairman of the whole organization in order for you to actually compete in the gym challenge to go face gym leaders, and then you can become, go to the championship. I actually like that. It was somewhat similar to what they did in Pokemon Sun and Moon, where there were challenges as well, and it wasn't like a normal gym Pokemon type thing. I actually did enjoy this of how they did. And I love the 3 stars as well. It was a little callback to, I think there was one gen where all the starter Pokemons were only their types. Like, Grookey was grass all the way through its evolution. Scorbunny was fire all the way through its evolution. Swabble was all the way water through its evolution. And speaking of Pokemon, I love the new Pokemon designs. I don't think there was one that I really didn't enjoy. There's probably one that I didn't like as much as some of the other ones, but I think I am thoroughly okay with how all of the Pokemon turned out and how they looked. I actually like the legendary Pokemons as well. At first I was a little iffy, especially about the Shield legendary Pokemon, because like, that's just a giant shield right there. But then eventually it just grew on me. Like, all the designs grew on me. And of course, I gotta give a big shout out to the wild area. That is probably the best thing about this game, the whole wild area itself, where you can just ride around, catch wild Pokemon, and then of course there's a raid going through Pokemon dens. I love Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, although the one thing I probably do hate is the fact that you cannot Gigantamax your specific Pokemon. So the difference between Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. Dynamax is just basically making it bigger. Gigantamaxing means they change their forms as they get bigger. So there are two types of that. So let's take, for example, the Corviknight. Corviknight has a Gigantamax form, which looks slightly different than a regular Corviknight's Dynamax. However, in order for you to actually use a Gigantamax Corviknight, you have to go through a raid and hopefully catch a Gigantamax Corviknight. Otherwise, you won't be able to use one. I wish that they, at some point, there was like a professor or someone be like, oh, hey, you have a Pokemon that can Gigantamax, but obviously it can't Gigantamax. So here, have a Gigantamax pill or whatever, and give it to the Pokemon, and they will become Gigantamax. Because in my mind, that's just a whole, well, why even bother getting a Pokemon that can evolve into a Pokemon that Gigantamax if you won't use it because it doesn't Gigantamax? Granted, I would never do that. I'd love using my regular Pokemon that I've caught throughout the whole game. But at some point, it's like, man, I'd love to have the Gigantamax form of this Pokemon as well. So, and you know, there's people like that too. It's like, well, I'm not using this Pokemon. I can't Gigantamax. But I did enjoy this game a lot. And the post game for it was a bit meh. It was short, and I don't know. It's a little hit or miss to me sometimes, but I do enjoy. The rival at first was very annoying to me, but he grew on me as the game progressed, and I thoroughly enjoyed that too. And hey, now that they're expanding, adding 2 new areas, and giving us more Pokemon, I think that's great. You know, it's fantastic that they're updating this game, or these games, instead of giving us Pokemon Sword and Shield 2, which, I mean, I'm not saying they still might not do that, but you know, hey, that makes me a little bit happier that they're actually going to put some more love into this game instead of like, well, it's out and we're done. We're not going to worry about it anymore like they have in the past Pokemon games. Unless, of course, they do like, oh, hey, here's a mysterious gift. You can get a legendary Pokemon from. But I digress. I still enjoy this game thoroughly from start to finish. But yeah, I think it's a good Pokemon game. Of course, if you're a fan of Pokemon, and if you have a Switch, which you probably have both, you probably already picked up this game. I say it's well worth the buy if you are at all curious about it. It's worth it itself. I mean, if you were burnt by the whole Dexit thing, don't worry about it. Like I said, they're adding 200 more Pokemon by this DLC. And the good news is you do not have to buy the DLC. You just have to hopefully either have a friend that can buy the DLC, or you have to buy Pokemon Home, which is its own different thing. It'll probably be cheaper than the DLC, and transfer old Pokemon from other ways too. But anyway, I like Pokemon, and that's why it's number 7 of games of 2019. Number 6, Judgment. I really did enjoy this game a lot. Judgment is a spin-off of the Yakuza series and has a lot of similarities to it in terms of gameplay, in terms of how you fight, and the minigames that it has as well. I really did enjoy this game. If you are a fan of the Yakuza series, then you will love this game too. And if you are new or don't even know about the Yakuza series, this is probably a good entry point as well, because you might be a little intimidated by how many Yakuza games there are, and you might be like, well, I don't have time to play through, Yakuza 0 through 6, which is 7 games, by the way. But with this, you can just play it, and if you are thoroughly enjoyed, then I highly recommend playing the Yakuza series games as well. But going back to Judgment, you are Yagami. You are Takayuki Yagami, a lawyer turned detective after his big win turned out to be kind of a downfall for him. He got someone acquitted of murder, found not guilty, but then he gets charged with murder the following night by killing his girlfriend and burning down the house. And now you just turn detective to, kind of go away from lawyer business. And then you learn that there's a mole out there who's killing other Yakuza and taking out their eyes. The story of this game goes all over the place, just like any other Yakuza game, and it is fun and joyful, and you're loving the characters as well. It's fantastic. And if you want, you can either play the game in Japanese or English, which is very good. Both of the voice actors for them are fantastic. If you like the English, that's great. If you like the Japanese, that's great too. They're both fantastic, and if you want to play it one way or the other, there's no problem with that at all. I really did enjoy this game. There's probably one thing I really do not like about this game, and that is the whole Kaigen system. At some point, you will face a member of this new gang, and then they become angry at you, and then one of your friends is always the constant like, oh yeah, you got into so many fights, now they're out there and such. It's just, it gets so annoying, and it's at first it's like, oh, it's not bad maybe, because you know you can't really fight that many people, but then when that happens, like, oh, you know, more encounters come. But as you get further and further into the game, your encounter rate increases, you're able to fight more people, and then just adding that on top of it, it really does hurt the game a lot. So I hope that's something that they implement better, or just take out in general if they decide to make a Judgment 2. But I still love this game. You know, you get the whole, you know, the girlfriends, the mini games. It's a Yakuza game without playing as Kiryu, and it's still fun. You know, it's a fun game. The story, like I said, is fantastic, like in any other Yakuza series games. And like I said, you're a detective trying to find out this mass murder, serial murder, and it takes turns you would not expect it to take. And I thoroughly enjoyed this game a lot. And if you are at all curious about the Yakuza series as well, this is a good entry point as well. And then if you decide to if you love this game and you want to, you know, I want to play more of these kinds of games, then start with Yakuza 0 and work the way up. It is fantastic. It's a good entry point if you're at all curious about the world of Yakuza, of how it works and such. It's fantastic. Another new thing that they had in this that's not in other Yakuza series games is friendship events. You know, you make friends and, you know, you help them out and, you know, you get them maxed out and such, and then they give you benefits. Some friends, if you talk to them, will give you some items. Some friends will help you out in battles. It's a fun little thing that they added to this game, and I really did enjoy it as well. And this is a fantastic game, and I love it, and I hope anyone else that has played this game loves it too. And if you're, again, at all curious, pick this game up. It is fun. And like I said, it's a new twist of the Yakuza series, because you actually have to pick evidence, find the right evidence to use in some cases. And the side cases, of course, you know, are another big thing about this. They're fun, fantastic. There's tailing missions. You gotta tail people. It's all around fun, and I thoroughly enjoy this game, and that's why it's number 6 in my top 10 games of the year. Number 5, Devil May Cry 5. Now, I am late to the Devil May Cry series, I know. My first real game that I played was DMC Devil May Cry, which obviously, it could be a good starting point. There's nothing wrong with that game, but the only problem is that it's a Devil May Cry game. It's a fun game, but I digress. Devil May Cry 5 finally brings the story of Dante, Nero, and Virgil to a good finale. It is a fantastic game. I would not at one point, I'm not really pining for Devil May Cry 5, because I'm okay with this now. Or Devil May Cry 6, excuse me. Now if they announce a Devil May Cry 6, alright, I'll be curious, and I want to know how they would make it work with how Devil May Cry 5 ended. But going back to this game, you go back to, you know, you're playing as Nero and Dante and the mysterious new person V, in order to stop this new demon from, you know, obviously destroying the world, or bring about an end of the world by opening up the demon gates and bring more demons into the world than there already are. I love this game. The gameplay is, you know, fun and fast moving, and it's fun. The music itself is great, of course, because you got Devil Trigger playing whenever you do a good style moves, whenever you get higher rankings in gameplay, the music plays for that character. I really enjoyed that as well. The story of this is, you know, it's a pretty decent story for a Devil May, you know, as a Devil May Cry game, as a character action game, as this. It's fun, it's actiony, it's just all over the place, like every Devil May Cry game. And of course, you gotta just love Dante with how he reacts to some things. And Nero is really good too. The voice acting for this game, fantastic as always. And there's one bit, and the ending right there just makes me tear up every time I think about it. It's just fun. It's such a fast-paced game. And if you're familiar with the combat, you know, it'd be great. I'm kind of trash at games like this, but I still enjoy it. I still thoroughly enjoy this game a lot. And like I said, I'm fairly new to the Devil May Cry series. I kind of got into it because of Devil May Cry 5 being released soon, but I've known of Devil May Cry for years. Like I said, I played DMC, Devil May Cry. I watched my cousin play the original games, and I kind of dabbled my toes into those games. And of course, I live streamed every single Devil May Cry game from this series. I didn't touch DMC Devil May Cry, but I still enjoy this game, and I hope you all too who enjoyed it. Like I said, I think it's a fantastic way to end this series if they chose to do that way. And if they chose to, like, all right, let's make a Devil May Cry 6, hey, there's Nothing wrong with that, as long as they don't, they're like, oh, we did so great with Devil May Cry 5, Devil May Cry 6 will obviously be a big hit, and it will be, but you have to be good with it. It can't just, you don't want another DMC Devil May Cry as a Devil May Cry 6. It has to be done just right. But anyway, with Devil May Cry 5, I enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. I will go back to it at some point just to like try to platinum this game, which will be pretty hard for me, like I said, because I'm kind of trash at this game. But as I keep playing, hopefully I get better. But anyway, Devil May Cry 5, you are number 5 of my top 10 games of 2019. Number 4, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I am in love with this game. It is my favorite Switch game of the year. I put so many hours into this game. Honestly, I think I was just a few hours below Octopath Traveler once I, stopped playing it for a while. But this game is fantastic. This was my first real entry into the Fire Emblem series, and it's probably a lot of people's first entry in the Fire Emblem series. I enjoy this game. You become a teacher at an officer's academy, and you choose between the three houses: the Black Eagles, the Golden Deers, or the Blue Lions, and then you just follow through the story to completion through each path, and you can do all three paths. There's actually 4 paths, how you get to that 4th path, it needs to be in the Red Eagles path. I'm not going to explain how you get through it, but it's a good thing to do all around. And I'm glad I picked Black Eagles and I was able to do both paths of that game as my Let's Play. But now I gotta go back and do Blue Lines and Golden Deer. It's a fantastic game, and I love this game. If you're at all curious about it, and you don't have to worry about the whole, it's a strategy type game, which, yeah, there is strategy to it, but you can make it so it's not as complicated or not as punishing as, previous Fire Emblem games were. I believe this is one of the first, I think they had it in the past where you can be like, all right, I want to play casual, where if one of your units dies, they will not be permanent dead. But if you're a non-casual and a Fire Emblem expert, you can obviously put in the whole, all right, I'm putting in my characters can die. So characters can die. If they die, they die type thing. And it's good. It's a fun game all around. I really love the strategy through it. The story, oh my god, the story is phenomenal in this game. I just love it so much. The story does vary depending on what each route you pick. For a while they all are pretty similar at the start of the game, and then at one point there's a major revelation that happens, and that's kind of where the stories will branch off. Now, but until you get to that point, they're all very similar, with a little bit of something different happening through each of the houses. There's a little something different happening in Golden Deer, that'll be happening in Golden and Black Eagles, and happening in Blue Lions. There's a little difference there, but then when you get to that turning point, that's when everything becomes different. Maybe to an extent, I don't know. I haven't seen what happens afterwards through one of the other routes. I've seen what happens with what happens with the Blue Lions, and of course, obviously the Red Eagles, but I haven't seen what happens when that turning point happens during Golden Deer. Now, it may be a lot if you want to just do one route, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and then eventually, go back to the other ones. It's all around fun, and especially with the new DLC story coming out with the Gray Wolves or something like that. I honestly can't, White Wolves or whatever the new story is. I'm honestly quite curious to know what that's about, and I'm super excited to learn that too. So this is a great time to jump into Fire Emblem, and of course with Byleth being another member of Smash coming out, I honestly I wasn't surprised, and I wasn't, oh my god, another Fire Emblem character. I really did enjoy it, and it was like only a matter of time. It's like, yep, okay, here we go. It was bound to happen, and I'm glad it happened now. And of course, we still have 5 more. Actually, excuse me, we have 6 more characters coming out. Then who knows? Maybe there'll be more after that. Maybe not. Who knows? But there's so many characters in Smash. Having one character and they're like, oh wow, it's like, wow, there's like 80 other characters that are in this game, and you're upset that this one character is in. But that's a Smash video. This is talking about Fire Emblem. Like I said, I enjoyed this game a lot. The gameplay was fun. The characters, and the little interactions that they have. I can't remember their bonding moments. Those interactions are those were the big biggest things for me. The story was great, but the interactions between you and the characters and between each characters, those were the biggest takeaway from this game. I thoroughly loved and enjoyed everything about them. It was fantastic. It was fun. They were funny. They made you laugh. It made you cry. It's just an all-around great game. If you have not touched Fire Emblem Three Houses, I highly recommend that you give it a try if you have a Switch and are at all curious. Ask a friend, they have the game, then borrow it from them, and then you're like, okay, I like it. I'm going to buy my own copy or rent it. Just touch this game in some form or matter, especially since it's now the highest bought Fire Emblem game. It's the highest selling Fire Emblem game. It's a fantastic Fire Emblem game, and it makes me want to go back and play past Fire Emblem games, even though I know they won't be as good as this, but it still makes me want to go back to play them. But that's why I love Fire Emblem. It's my favorite Switch game of the year, and that's why it's at number 4 of my top 10 games of 2019. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 3. You just knew this game was going to be on this list. Of course it was, and it was definitely going to be high on this list, and for good reason. I really did love this game. It is visually appealing. It looks fantastic, and even though a lot of people complain about the story, the pacing, and everything about it, I still had an overall fantastic experience for it. Now, for me, the game isn't a big, this game's terrible if it's not killing me every 5 seconds. If you want that, you can have that challenge. But for me, the Kingdom Hearts series has always been more so about the story and the characters. And for me, this was a great way for the story to happen and the characters. And yes, I know there's some issues I've had with the story, and I still don't know if I really think it's my favorite Kingdom Hearts game in terms of story or not. In terms of gameplay, I really did enjoy the gameplay. I love the form changes that the Keyblade has. I love that every single Keyblade has their own unique shot locks. I love the fact that you can have multiple party members. One world you can have 3 characters. One world you can have 4. You don't have to switch, so it's only Sora and Donald the Goofy, or Sora, Donald, and the world member, or Sora, Goofy, and the other world character. No, they are all part of the play, part of the game. They're all part of the story of the world. When you go to the world in Toy Box, you get both Woody and Buzz as playable characters. In World of Corona, you get both Rapunzel and Finn, and then at some point you only just get Finn. But it's great. I loved it. I love the fact that you just get all the characters like that in general. I love the whole synthesizing thing. I love the gummy ships. The gummy ship was fantastic. It's probably my favorite out of them all. It's a little mix of both Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2's gummy ship, and I just loved how it was done in this game. The story was fantastic. I loved this. And with Remind coming out, and I'm super excited to see how they're going to expand and explain how the ending is and such. And I really did enjoy this game a lot. Obviously, like I said, I know there was a lot, I don't want to say controversy, but there's a lot of opinions going around about this is the worst Kingdom Hearts game in general. If you say that, I'm like, okay, this is the worst Kingdom Hearts games in general. No, it's not. It's not the worst Kingdom Hearts game at all. It is fantastic. It's definitely, it's a good Kingdom Hearts game. And I don't know, we all have our different views of what makes this game great or good or whatever, but I really did enjoy this game a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. It's fantastic. It's high up on this list because it deserves to be high up on this list. Gameplay is fantastic. Story is beautifully done. The characters, the design, the music, it's just all so good. And I'm super excited to dig my teeth into Remind when I'm finally able to do that, and just to see how it may quote unquote fix some of the problems that people have. And so far I'm enjoying everything that I've saw from the Remind trailers, and now I'm super excited to start playing into Remind myself, and it's just fantastic. I really did enjoy this game a lot. It deserves to be high up there. And if Remind came out later in 2019 instead of in 2020, it might have changed my opinion. This might have been either number 1 or number 2 because of Remind. But all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3. I love the game to death. It's just so beautiful. And of course, like I said, with the music, Utada Hikaru knocked it out of the park again with Face My Fears and Don't Think Twice. They are both fantastic tracks. And I could totally see like, oh, these are my favorite tracks, or no, they're not quite my favorite tracks. I totally get it. Either way, I really, really love this game a lot. And like I said, I'm super excited for Remind to come out and just, again, like I said, dig my teeth into that. But for now, Kingdom Hearts 3, you deserve a list on top 10 games of 2018 or 2019, and this is my list, and I like it. And you're number 3 on this list because I like you a lot. Kingdom Hearts 3. Number 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I really did enjoy this game a lot. I can definitely see this being some people's favorites from Software game or not. Again, this is another Dark Souls-esque game because, you know, it's made by From Software, the people that made Dark Souls. But in that sense, it's also completely different. It's similar in terms of, you know, some aspects of the gameplay, but most of the time it's not. First of all, you do not have a stamina bar, so you don't have to worry about, like, not being able to swing and attack. But the bad news about that is you do have somewhat of a combo hit, I guess you can say, where you can swing 3. You can't just keep infinitely swinging. You have, like, a combo string that you swing, 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 swing. I think it's like a 3 or 4 swing that you get before you're like, okay, I have to rest. Especially if you're keep swinging against enemies, you get that too. But then there's a fact of you actually get some kind of a resurrection thing. A little bit after in the story, you get a point to be like, oh, I can be brought back to life if I so choose to, which is fantastic. You can do that if you want to. And, you know, you can say you died during a boss, but oh no, you died during the boss. But then you just lay there with the words like you can either die or resurrect. And then as the boss turns around, you can resurrect and then start attacking them from the back. Same with normal enemies. You just die, and then when they all turn their backs, you resurrect and get them from behind. It's fantastic like that. I really did like that. The bosses of these games were fun to fight. Some of them were very hard because of how I played, but like once you learn a good strategy for them, they're still good bosses all around. There are bosses that, okay, you can feel great about beating them, but other ones that were like, oh, that was just a slog to beat. I totally get that too. The story, like I said, this is a different kind of game from Software. First of all, you don't have a character that you can customize and make, like, you know, different gameplay styles. There's no mages. There's no like, oh, I only want to use heavy moves, or oh, I want to be like a thief and use no knives. No, you are one character with one weapon. And yeah, with the Shinobi Prosthetic tools, you get multiple weapons, but your main weapon is your sword. I love the whole stamina gauge, or not stamina gauge, or oh, I forgot what it's called right now, but there's like a composure gauge that as you keep swinging, it builds up for every enemy, and then of course you have one as well. And when it reaches up there, they stagger the enemies, and you can do a death blow. So on bosses, it takes off one of their full health bars, or you know, kills them instantly when you get the death blow strike, which is indicated by a little circle there. Like I said, this game, the story is pretty decent too. You know, you are trying to save your young lord and then trying to stop the resurrected powers of the dragon's blood. It's all around really good, and with the multiple endings, it's good too. You can actually 100% this game by 2 playthroughs if you really wanted to, and that is by, you know, making a specific save when you get to the end after you beat the final boss, but before you go to talk to your lord, you make a save and, you know, upload it to the cloud. And if you do specific paths to get the other 2 endings, then you can get the 3 endings there, and then the 4th ending you have to go through New Game Plus in order to do it, because that one is a lot earlier on. But I digress. The endings, the game, the story is fantastic. I actually like the characters as well. And this is another good game that's like, hey, if you want to hear in Japanese, that's good. If you want to hear in English, it's fantastic for both as well. In terms of gameplay, when you die and even after you resurrect, you get multiple chances to resurrect. So you'll get a total of 3 stones to resurrect, but you can't use them all right away. So it's like you die to a boss. Okay, you resurrect. Well, you can't resurrect right away. You have to either you have to knock down one of their health gauges first in order for you to resurrect again. So if they are able to kill you before that happens, you're dead. You can't resurrect. And when you die, you lose half of your money and half of your experience, and you cannot get that back. Unless, of course, there's the unseen aid that comes out. It starts at 30%, but then as you die more and such, more people get infected by a thing called Dragon Rot, which decreases your unseen aid chances. And that's basically the only downside to it. And of course, if there's any character quests that you are going on and they get contaminated with that, then you can't continue their story as long as they have the Dragon Rod on. But it's still a fun game. I enjoy this game a lot. I really do love the whole parrying system, the whole block and parry to build up their resistant gauge. I can't think of it off the top of my head about what it's called, but it's a fun game in general. And if you are lucky and know how to play the game, you can beat the quote-unquote first boss that you encounter, even though it's one that it doesn't matter if you win or lose. But you can beat him if you are good enough in this game. But I digress. I thoroughly enjoyed this game a lot. There are some bosses that are pretty hard, and some bosses that take a while, but most of the time, it's fun. I enjoy this game a lot, and that's why it's number 2 of my top 10 games of 2019. Number 1, Death Stranding. I know. People might be surprised that this is my number 1 game, and other people maybe not. But in all honesty, I really, really love this game. It was such a sleeper hit for me. A lot of people, when it first got announced, a lot of people were like, what the hell is this? It's by Kojima. What the hell is this? This game is definitely Kojima unlocked. He was free to do whatever he wanted with this game, and he went with it. And I loved every single second of it. I will say there is probably a slow start to it, but then once you get into the second area of the game, I believe that's when it really hit me. It's like, oh my god, this game is fantastic. I know you're just walking around delivering packages from one place to the other, but there's just such a charm and relaxing feel to it. I just can't really explain it any better than that. I love this game a lot. I love Sam Porter Bridges, Norman Reedus' character. It's fantastic. The characters in this game are phenomenal. I even love Higgs, Troy Baker's character. It's the Higgs, the villain. He's fantastic. I love it. I love Heartman. I love Die Hard Man. I love Dead Man. Every single character in this game has a charm to them that's like, yep, okay, I love you because of this charm, and it's fantastic. Like I said, the gameplay, I could definitely see where people be like, oh, I don't really like this game. I totally get it. I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see why you don't like that. But for me, it's what I love about the game. I just love, you going out there, delivering the packages. Like, you start off on foot, but then eventually you'll be able to get vehicles. You'll be able to get other more ways of transportation. You can build bridges. You build zip lines that you can travel from one zip line to the other zip line. Oh, I just love all that aspects of just building the stuff, and other people that if they built it, you can use it type thing. Once you're able to make those things, then you can start using them. And then they start appearing on the map. I just loved it. It's just, even the story of this game, I love so much. Fragile, I freaking love Fragile as well. She's a female transporter. It's just, I love this game so much. The story, it really hit me a lot in a lot of places, and especially the ending. Mads Mikkelsen's character was probably my favorite character of this entire game for no particular reason, rather than the fact that it's like, I totally get it. Like, I totally got his character. It just really leveled with me a lot. I loved every single interaction with it. I loved seeing what happened to his character. I loved just learning about his character. It's like, okay, what's the deal with you? Oh, this is the deal? Oh my god. And then you get to the ending and you even learn more about him. You learn a lot about all the characters even more as you progress through the game. You learn a lot about Sam. You learn a lot about Die Hard Man. You learn a lot about Dead Man. You learn Heartman and Mama and BB. I didn't even talk about BB yet. The Bridge Babies. You're yet a specific Bridge Baby that is with you the whole journey. and you develop a bond with it, and it's just fantastically done. It's fantastically made, and it's just super fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And then of course the music, the more so specifically the credits music and BB's theme. Those are fantastic themes. If you're gonna play this game, do not look up the music for this if you at all plan to play this game. Play through the game and get to that point where they play. It just hits so much harder. And every time I hear BB's themes, I think about that mission when it plays, and it hits home with me. Just that ending in general, it made me cry. I cried a lot during this game. I loved it so much. It's fantastic, and like I'm just happy being a little, Amazon dude, transporting one package from one place to another, getting another thing, transporting from one place to another. There is some element of battle in this. You can fight didn't even get to that yet. You fight BTs, which are like kind of like the main threats of this game. They're, invisible ghosts, but as you progress through the story, you get better ways to deal with it. At first, you get a grenade full of blood that takes care of it, but then eventually you can just cut their cord with your handcuffs that you have. It's fantastic. I loved both ways that you can deal with it. And then, of course, there are mules or people that have gone crazy and just start stealing packages. Those guys are probably a big threat. Those guys are big threats too, and they're kind of like they are a big pain in the asses when you're just going through the game being like, okay, I just want to, get through this area, but I have to, deal with them. It's still fun, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I know I'm missing something in this game that I love. It's hard to explain why I love this game without spoiling it too much. There's definitely going to be a video that I want to talk about, and just, I'm live streaming this game, being like, yeah, this is why I love this game so much. Like I said, the characters, the story, I really did thoroughly enjoy Death Stranding. It is a fantastic game. I loved it, but I can also see why people have problems with it, and that's okay. It's not a perfect game, but for me, I don't want to say it's pretty close, but it's pretty high up there. I'd say it's probably a 90 out of a 100 for me. It's a fantastic game. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Like I said, the characters are phenomenal. This is the whole fact that you can even take a shower. You can just piss outside or whatever, and just like I said, the boss, the fights with Higgs, and just the BTs, and just everything about this game is phenomenal. I don't know if there's a multiple ending situation. All I know is you get a choice close to the end of the game where you can choose to do something or don't do anything. And I thought the choice that I picked would have been this isn't the right choice of what I'm going to do, but it ended up being the right choice. It's just, this game just made me feel a lot of emotions all at once. And I really did enjoy this game a lot. And at the end of the day, that's what video games are supposed to be. They're supposed to give you a lot of emotions. They're supposed to make you feel things that you may not have felt. And, you're supposed to have a great time with them. And I had a great time with Death Stranding, even though, it's like a walking simulator or whatever people are complaining about. But I just loved it. I loved it because of that. And for those reasons, that is why it's my top game of 2019. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my top 10 games of 2019. Let me know what you guys feel about my list. Do you guys agree with some of them? Do you not agree? Again, this was my top 10 games of 2019. It's entirely based off of my opinion and my experience with these games. Doesn't have anything to do with reviewer scores or anything. This is all right, I played this game and these are my thoughts about it. And I hope you all enjoyed this video as well. And again, let me know, what would your guys' top 10 games of 2019? What was your number one? What was your favorite? Do you even have top 10s, or do you just have these were the games I enjoyed the most? Let me know as well. So thank you all so much for watching this video. And of course, guys, I did Let's Plays in some of these videos, and I did Let's Plays in some of these games, and just playing one-off videos on other games. So if you want to watch any of those, please check them out on the RPG Kingdom Kid channel. The link to that channel is in the description below. 2020 is here, guys. A new decade is here. And of course, with a new decade means an old one passed. So eventually, I will be releasing a top 10 games of the decade between 2010 and 2019 that I will be releasing fairly a few weeks after this, hopefully. And of course, guys, I will also be releasing a video like, all right, here's all the games that could have been on the list, but weren't on the list for one other reason, and some of the games that I didn't play at all, and for these reasons exactly. So, like I said, 2020 looks to be another exciting year for video games, especially since we're gonna get new consoles. Granted, those are coming out in the close to the end of the year, but hey, still, it's still a great time to be a gamer. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And again, let me know what your guys' favorite games were and if you agreed with what I said about some of this stuff. And even if you didn't agree, let me know why. Be like, you know what? It's okay that you like this game, but this is why I didn't like this game. Fantastic. Again, my opinions and my opinions alone. This is exactly how I felt about these games. And if you guys share some of those feelings, that's great. If not, that's great too. You know, we're all human. We have our own feelings and towards things one way or another. But anyway, again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.